When the Khaos first came out, it was like a little gift from heaven for a rider like myself. It was the perfect blend of mountain sled and off-trail freeride fun sled. This right here is a 2023 Ski Doo Freeride 850 Turbo R. This thing slaps you in the face like a half-baked salmon and just makes you go, oh my goodness, where did that power come from? We know that one of your favorite things as viewers of SnowTrax that we do is shootout/comparo stories. You love them. You like shootouts a lot more than comparos. So we thought it'd be interesting to bring you probably the most equal comparison/shootout story I think we've ever done, with two sleds that are basically identical from different manufacturers. Yeah, this one is pretty lined up, pretty even. We got turbo to turbo, we got 36-inch ski to 36-inch ski width, we've got 154 to 155, 3-inch paddle, premium shocks on both. This has a belt drive and this one doesn't, but this one isn't offered in a belt drive, so really. And this one only comes with a belt drive,
exactly.
So too bad.
Yeah, so this is a very even comparison.
It is.
And I'm excited to shoot these two sleds out because these are the best of the best when it comes to that kind of playful mountain sled.
So what do we got? We got a Khaos/155 Patriot boost, 3-inch, and we've got a Freeride G5 Turbo R, 3-inch, 154. So they are identical sleds. They even both have the fancy touchscreen gauges, so they're as equal as they can be. And we both spent the better part of the last couple days riding these two sleds. And something we did differently this time was that AJ and I rode them together and switched back and forth the whole time. Normally with mountain sleds, we end up going out one and one. One guy rides one guy rides the other. It's just efficiency. This time we actually swapped constantly and have some really good opinions we want to bring you guys. So without further ado, let's get started on...
I think we got to talk about power first because these are turbos.
I was going to start with ergonomics, but okay. You win. We'll talk about power.
It's the turbo.
Okay, let's talk about power. What did you think about the power characteristics of both of these sleds?
So when it comes to power, obviously for this year, the Turbo R is boosted up to 180 horsepower. The Polaris, they don't give us the numbers, but we think it's somewhere in that range as well.
My guess would be somewhere about 185, but based on their math, but that's not official and I could be wrong. So.
Yeah, so what I found to be the big difference between the two is the Polaris Patriot boost, I find to be very smooth, very seamless. You almost can't tell that the turbo's there. To the point, in my opinion, that I actually would like to know that the turbo's there because I want to feel it kick in and grab.
I felt that it was a little bit soft.
Yeah.
When you first got on the throttle, it didn't rev up as fast as I thought it should rev up. It took a second, and I did find that on top end, when you were like 3/4 throttle to full throttle, it had a lot of legs and it would just keep spinning and spinning. But down low, it didn't feel nearly as strong as what I thought, but especially as the Ski Doo.
Yeah, the Ski Doo really pulls hard. It hits hard. It makes a lot of noise.
Good noise.
Yeah, very good noise. It's
turbo
very
flutter like crazy.
Yeah, very appealing. It makes you feel like the money you spent on that turbo was well worth it. But more importantly than that, when you're in the deep powder and you get on the throttle, you know when this turbo has hit, and it hits hard. And
it's very snappy, and it spools up really quick. Like the track spin comes on immediately.
Yeah, it feels like there is no resistance whatsoever. You're on the throttle, it's on the pipe, and it's up on top of the snow. And in my opinion, calling this a shootout, I would pick the Ski Doo Turbo R over the Patriot boost. We're running at 7,000 to 8,000 feet today, and I really think this motor excels.
And you get no arguments from me. After riding them back to back, the characteristics of that motor made me a better rider.
Yeah.
This didn't make me a bad rider, but I was better on that sled thanks to the power. So ergonomically, I think you and I actually have some different preferences.
Yeah,
ergonomically, I feel very at home on the Khaos. I feel like it fits me, especially standing up. That's one area in this sled with these tall bars that when I stood up, I could stand up completely and not hunch over. I felt like when I was turning, the bars were right into my hips. But I will say this, there's a negative this sled has that I didn't even think about until I started thinking about this shootout. There's no bar riser on here.
Yeah, no, there's not.
So what do you do if you don't like the bar height?
You buy a bar riser and a new bar.
Pretty much, because like, you know, it's more complex than you think. Not only do you have to take all this junk off, but your grips have to come off, which are glued on. So you're basically buying new grips. To me, that's an actual oversight on Polaris's part, because not everybody's the same size, as evidenced by your preference for the ergonomics.
Yeah,
of
and
that
we're
sled.
the same height. We're both 6 foot. We're similar size, but I feel at home on this sled. I feel like the handlebars are right where I want them. However, I have ridden with Brett Rasmussen, who forced me to ride a snowmobile with a riser like this big. And so I'm used to something that's maybe not as tall up, and I found this to be a little bit too tall for me. And truthfully, I've always loved the Polaris RMK Ergonomics. They've always fit me really well, but the G5 and just the way that they've changed a few things, this fits perfectly for me. I felt right at home. Everything was just where I wanted it. It felt good when I was side hilling. My feet felt good moving over the seat. I really like the seat on this sled.
I was just about to say that the seat is fantastic because it's never in your way.
Yeah.
This is a good seat. There's no question. This is a very good mountain seat. That's better.
Yeah.
Now, it's not as comfortable on the trail.
No.
But when you're out in the mountains, it never catches your foot getting on and off or changing from side to side. It's like it doesn't exist. And for a sled like these ones that are so playful and you're off the side, off both sides, spinning around, doing all the tricks that we can't do, you want a seat that never gets in your way, and that one doesn't.
What do we say for ergos?
Well, there's another little aspect of this that we were just discussing. It's simple fit and finish of switchgear, and that's kind of one that Ski Doo gets like hands down. They're not afraid to like tool up a new switchgear every 8 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, but it does come a long way when you look at the dashboard and the switchgear of that sled. It just looks very modern, and this just looks very dated.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure that matters while you're riding, and when you're side hilling, you're not looking at your switchgear going, boy, I'd be a better side hiller if this had new switchgear. But it is something when you spend 20 grand on a sled that you appreciate, right?
Showroom appeal.
Yeah. Are we going to consider the gauge pod and the positioning of the gauge? Is that part of ergonomics, or is it not?
You know what? I think it's one of those ones where if it was a trail sled, I think it would be, because you're looking down at your gauges on a trail sled. On a mountain sled, you really only stop to look at your gauge when you've stopped the snowmobile and you're wanting a reference point, whether it be your maps, whether it be, you know, seeing how much fuel you have or whatever it might be. Because on the Ski Doo, it's really hard if you're riding down the trail.
You can't see it.
Yeah, you just can't see it. But in the same sense, today, I had to roll both of these sleds over a couple times after getting stuck. And this snowmobile rolls over so much better and doesn't get in the way, where this one, we actually had to contact a tree at one point. We had to bend the tree out of the way, and it was like,
because of the pod.
Just because of the pod sticking out.
And I just feel like this is prone to get busted.
It's a lot of money
that's
out there,
going to get broken. Yeah,
it's an expensive piece.
This gauge could be laid flat. It would make sense. And I do agree that when you think about a sled in the snow, that system makes a lot more sense than this one does.
This may not be prettier, but it's more functional. And when you're in the mountains, I think it's all about function.
Definitely.
So I think when it comes to ergonomics, we really can't say that there's a winner, because I'm going to give the Ski Doo 1 point because this fits me properly, and you're going to give the Polaris 1 point because it fits you properly. So I think that that's just a wash.
So what's next? Okay, all right. How about handling?
Handling is good. Handling is good. It's important.
Which one do you like better?
Honestly, I am going to tell you, I have been a diehard RMK fan for a lot of years. I have really fit well on that snowmobile. It has been my choice. Ski Doo has stepped up with the G5, and I honestly feel at home on this sled like I did on some of the first gen revs when they first came out. You know,
But it's not just the bodywork. There's differences elsewhere too, right?
The rear, personally, I think it all comes down to the rear suspension. I think the new longer rear torque arm at the different angle. I mean, we can go into the millimeters and all that stuff, but really what it all comes down to is that it works better.
This is a Khaos, so this isn't an RMK. This has a very different rear end than an RMK does.
Yeah.
With a lot more weight transfer designed to wheelie, but this sled also has, of the two, the superior shock package with full adjustability on all 4 corners, position sensitive technology on all 4 corners, but it still doesn't ride as good as that does.
Yep.
And I thought that was really interesting. This should be tunable to be a much smoother ride, but it doesn't ride smoother.
Ski Doo has really, they've got this one set up right.
For the first time, and like AJ said, the first time in a lot of years, I think the Ski Doo actually might do it better. Handling goes to the Ski Doo for me.
It goes to the Ski Doo for me too.
Yeah.
So
the last thing we should probably talk about is simply just part spec and fit and finish. We got to go over that. I mean, obviously Polaris has come a long way with fit and finish. There's no question they've improved big time. I like that you can take all the bodywork off with no tools. That's a great move.
The nice thing I will say is that Ski Doo did update this. It's no longer like 5 different tools and 20 different fasteners. That's not a joke. That's what it used to be. It was that and more. Now they've gone to 4 of the same Torx head bolts And the little tool is right inside the front panel right here, hooked into the sled. And I actually took this thing apart today just to prove the fact that you could do it. And it took me maybe 10 minutes. So, I mean,
it's not better,
no,
but it's not a whole lot worse. It's not like it used to be.
Yeah, no, you know,
when you look at the Polaris, of course, you've got your 7S display, which in my opinion is still superior to Ski-Doo's display, despite it being bigger and fancier. This has built-in GPS, so you don't need anything but this to get where you're going and know where you're going. And in the mountains, that actually matters because you can get a long way from home. You could be in trouble. So you can trust this system more than that in the mountains.
This is a great upgrade from what they had before. In fact, this is nowhere in the same atmosphere, stratosphere, planetary system as the previous one. This is way better. I think that this is still the best.
A couple other things that we need to talk about with comparison is that the Polaris has the slash tunnel, so it's not just short. They're both short tunnels. It's not just short, but it's actually tapered, and it looks better.
It does look better.
But it also actually functions better. It actually cuts through the snow even less than the square tunnel design does. And I don't know if they've patented it or what, but there's something about that that's an improvement. So that's a plus for Polaris over the Ski-Doo, and that matters. However, Ski-Doo's got some new body panels that do some pretty impressive things.
The body panels are awesome. They're functional. I mean, it turns the CVT essentially into a CVT like right off of a side-by-side. So,
sealed.
Yeah, it's sealed. It's got a backer plate on it, and it has an intake and an exhaust, and the fins on the secondary actually pump air in and out. So to me, that's a real premium feature.
No more belt cooling issues. You're going to have a cool belt, and it's going to work great. And it's one piece. It all comes off as one piece. No more pins to pull and jump like that.
I would say in technology, they both have their benefits.
Shot.
Yeah. After doing what we do all day long in the mountains and doing this all day long, I kid you not, that makes your shoulder sore by the end of the day.
Ski-Doo promised when Shot came out that it saved you a measurable amount of energy over the course of a full day.
Yes.
Now today, we were stuck quite a bit, rolling sleds over, starting and stopping. When you're filming like we do with the film crew, you're starting and stopping all the time. Today, I actually noticed that without question that having Shot made my life easier and I was less tired. So to me, that's a huge upgrade that you just don't get here. Fit and finish and features, who wins?
Well, I think there's a draw when it comes to features because both have good. I would still say that fit and finish, Ski-Doo has a better quality fit and finish. Their panels fit tighter, they're cleaner, the edges don't have sharp edges or things sticking off. The Polaris is beautiful, don't get me wrong, and they've done a great job. But I do believe that Ski-Doo's fit and finish is still just one step above.
I would give features to the Polaris and I would give fit and finish to the Ski-Doo. That's where I'd bet. Yeah. So again, I think that we're basically a draw in terms of fit and finish and features. It's just, you can't pick one over the other. And
that means that at the end of the day, I think the Ski-Doo quite handily won this one.
I do too.
And you know what? It's not because it's a brand new sled that they just came out with and we're going, oh, Ski-Doo's great because they came out with something new.
No.
It's because they came out with a sled
that's better.
That is refined.
It's better.
It is better. They have refined a G4 and turned it in to a new snowmobile, and it is better.
I'd still take either one. I flip a coin any day of the week and take either one and be happy with it.
Yeah.
But if I could pick one, just one, I'd be picking the Ski-Doo right now.
I'm in the same boat. I think that they're both great snowmobiles. I wouldn't be upset if I bought either of them, but if I got on this sled after riding that snowmobile, I would go, oh, I feel a little bit more at home here. And that's just the bottom line.